Now, game week 10 in FPL went pretty well for me. I ended on 90 points and I'm in 264k overall now. And here is my team selection ahead of game week 11. All right, we'll start by talking through how everything finished for me in game week 10. Like I said, 90 points, 264k overall. Pretty happy overall, I got to say, I can't lie. I think, yeah, FPL has been kind to me to start this season. Defence, a fully stacked out defence in terms of returns. Raya, Gabriel, obviously Arsenal keeping a clean sheet. Gabriel with an assist. I think he got bonus points as well in that game. Gahey with a 10-pointer, clean sheet in DEFCON, and I think some bonus points. And Anderson, he didn't get DEFCON. He is a bit of a DEFCON monster, but he did keep a clean sheet. So, yeah, we'll take that. Iliman Njai, who I am pleased to have absolutely banged on about until the point I probably got boring on my videos. He scored in game week 10. He just looks mega. Unfortunately, he got subbed off. He got subbed off early in that game, but stick around to when I go through my midfielders. I'll give you an injury update on him and whether I'm going to keep him in game week 11. That's obviously, he went off injured. Bruno Fernandes with an assist. I think, to be honest, he hit the post with one of his shots in that game. He could have scored. He has been points dodging galore as Bruno Fernandes this season, and I just don't think it's going to continue all the way. It's just not possible in my mind for him to continue to dodge points as he's been doing. So yeah, I'm hopeful that in future game weeks, hopefully in game week 11, he can actually get some goals and really start to nail down some of those attacking returns that he's been missing. Other three midfielders, Saka, Semenyo and Enzo Fernandez, all blanking. Obviously, we got a clean sheet from Enzo and Saka. Enzo down to 2 with the yellow card. Mateta with a goal. I brought him in this week. I did. So my two transfers were James Tarkowski out for Mark Gahey, and I did João Pedro out for Mateta. Now, obviously, João Pedro scored as well, but the points I got from Mark Gahey over James Tarkowski, I think, made the transfer at least worth it for the one game week that counts so far. And then we had Haaland as my captain. I've got to say, I was in two minds somewhat about whether I should have captained Haaland or Gabriel. I think I was always going to go Haaland, but there was a little voice inside my head saying to go for Gabriel. Ultimately, there wouldn't have been a whole lot in it. Gabriel, if he was my captain, would have scored 24 and Haaland got 26. So there's not a whole lot in that decision anyway. But I think I'm glad I stuck to my guns and went for the robot. He obviously did a robot celebration after his goal as well. The bench, I don't think there's a whole lot really to talk about there. Dubravka, Krupa Jr., Rodon all sort of blanking, and 3 points from Senesi. Obviously, the conceded goals against Man City, but he did get some DEFCON points. Yeah, that's the team. I'm pretty happy with how things are going at the moment. 90 points, 264k overall. I think we're in a decent position. All right, so we'll go through the team now, and this is how I think I'm going to line up defensively. I've got 2 free transfers and 0.4 million in the bank. At the moment, I'm going with David Raya, Gabriel, Gahey, and Anderson. You can see there on my bench. All these expected points, by the way, are courtesy of Fantasy Football Hub. And if you want to see your team on a screen like this, sign up to Fantasy Football Hub using the link in the description below. I've got a tough choice, I think, as to whether I play Anderson against Everton away or Senesi against Villa away. The only thing, I guess, that could sway it, I'm personally preferring Anderson at the moment because I think the clean sheet odds are higher. But I also have Njai in my team at the moment anyway, and it's whether I want to play Anderson against Njai or play Senesi, who isn't playing any of my attackers, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's just a decision that I'm caught in two minds on. I think both probably get DEFCON in their respective games. And yeah, there are a couple of transfer decisions that I'm considering in my defence, right? Or just overall decisions about my team. I've spoken about, well, we'll look at clean sheet odds first, right? Before I talk about transfer decisions in terms of whether I want to get any new teams in. Arsenal were just by far and away the best team for clean sheet odds, right? They're leading the way pretty much every single game week, and apart from game week 13, when they play Chelsea away, right? I've got double Arsenal defence. I'm pretty happy with that. The question for me with Arsenal is I've got David Raya in my team at the moment, and is David Raya worth having in my team? I had a little debate on Twitter today with FPL tactician Andy Martin, who I really respect his opinions. It was a respectful debate. He was of the opinion that people shouldn't have David Raya in their team because he's going to get 6 points per game and you can do loads better from Arsenal assets. But my opinion on David Raya, right, and hear me out on this, hopefully it makes sense. So yes, he might not be the absolute best Arsenal asset, but when you think of all the other Arsenal assets in the game, maybe apart from the defenders like Saka, Gyökeres, who's injured, for example, there's other like midfielders and forwards that are not necessarily like absolutely better, but going to at least score similar points. Whereas David Raya, I just think he's by far and away the best player to be in goal in FPL, if that makes sense. Like, it's more of a downgrade to go David Raya to someone else than it is to drop Saka to someone else, for example. And having triple, 3 Arsenal defenders in your team, for example, is a way you could play it. But I quite like the opportunity to split the risk a little bit and maybe target a defender that gets DEFCON as well. So I am conscious that... Sorry, just go back to the defender screen. I am aware that David Raya might not be part of the ideal Arsenal triple up, but I think there's more things that go into that decision than just, is David Raya the best Arsenal asset? It's how do these players stack up comparatively to other players in their positions in FPL? Like, Gabriel is the best defender in the game, and then is Timber the second best defender in the game? I don't necessarily think so. I think the guys that get DEFCONs more consistently may be up there. And you look at midfield, is Saka, the absolute best? No, he's not the absolute best midfielder. And I think there's other ones that are even better. And then you look at the forwards, Gyökeres is either, but you know what I mean? Hopefully that sort of decision-making thought process makes sense to you. And that's kind of where I'm at with my team. Ultimately, I'm not going to make a transfer in my defence, but that's a topic of conversation I've been seeing going around. I've covered it a couple of times in my video, and I just wanted to show you my conclusion on the matter. All right, then moving on to the midfield, and we've got Saka, Bruno Fernandes, Enzo Fernandez, Semenyo, and Njai. Honestly, I don't feel a desperate need to make transfers here, but there are potential players that I'd consider in the future, and a couple of things that I'm keeping in mind. First of all, we've got to address Iliman Njai at the moment, right? Because he got subbed off early against Sunderland with a potential injury. We had a report, a quote from David Moyes in the press conference after the game. This is what he said. Doesn't think it's anything serious. Thinks he picked up a bit of cramp and was worried about it. So, yeah. I think Iliman Njai is going to be okay. Obviously, we'll have another press conference pre-game week 11 as well. So, we'll get even more news. He's not playing in Europe, so he's going to get a rest throughout the week as well. I think he'll be fine, but something to keep in mind, right? I look back to other positions in my midfield. A couple of players that haven't necessarily lit the world. In fact, it's not just a couple. Saka, Enzo, and Semenyo have not done a whole lot since they've been in my team. Although I look at the fixtures that these players have got, I just think I probably can't justify selling them. Saka plays Sunderland away from home. Enzo's got Wolves at home, who I think are literally the team to target in the Premier League at the moment. Semenyo's got Villa away this week, but then he plays West Ham at home and Sunderland the week after. The one worry I do have with Semenyo is with Krupi Jr. being in the team at the moment. I feel like that is directly correlated to Semenyo's slight drop. I don't know. Maybe I'm drawing conclusions from something that's not true, but that's something I have noticed. So I'm not saying they're on thin ice just yet, but there is one player that's on thin ice, and I think that's Enzo Fernandez. When you've got likes of Declan Rice and Ismail Assar at the same price, looking fairly good, the temptation is always there to potentially move him on. But selling someone ahead of playing Wolves at home, I think, is mad. The only thing I would say about Enzo Fernandez is I sold Caicedo to get him in, which fills me with shame because Caicedo is doing a lot better than Enzo Fernandez is recently. But on the whole, I don't think I'm going to make any changes to this midfield. But there are a couple of teams, a couple of players, and a couple of things that I'm thinking about, regardless of transfers I make this week. First of all is teams that have got some really good fixtures coming up, right? Man United, for one, have some really good fixtures. Once they get game week 11, Tottenham away, which isn't, on the face of it, to me, is not a really, really tough fixture. Like, I don't think they're massively solid defensively at Tottenham. I think Man United can score goals in that game. Likes of Bruno and Mbeumo would be the two options I'd select from Man United. Then after that, I'm just going to read the fixtures. Everton, Palace, West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth, Villa, Newcastle at home, Wolves, Leeds, Burnley, right? That is a really, really nice run of games up until the second game week in January, the second game week in 2026. So yeah, I think, and I know they didn't beat Nottingham Forest in game week 10, but they're scoring goals now, Man United, and they are looking better. I don't think there's any denying that they are looking better than they were at the start of the season. So I'm aware of them, and I'm potentially eyeing up a transfer in of Mbeumo. For example, if Semenyo keeps up the poor form, poor form is probably a tough statement, but he continues not to score. The temptations is definitely going to be there. The temptation is going to be there to bring in Brian and Bumo at some point. It's not just Man United that have some good games coming up either. That was another topic we'll address next. It's Liverpool too. So once they get Man City away out of the way in game week 11, in game week 12 they got Forest at home. In 13 they got West Ham away. In 14 they got Sunderland at home. Leeds, Brighton, Tottenham. I mean, the Liverpool fixtures are really good for that period of time as well. So once we get to game week 11 out of the way and look at game week 12, both Liverpool and Man United have some really good fixtures that are difficult to ignore. And I own no assets from either of those teams. So that's something that's playing on my mind that I'm looking to bring in. You saw it very briefly, but something else that I'm cognizant of as well is game week 12. So obviously we're looking at game week 11 as things stand, but in game week 12, there's an interesting call to be made on the captaincy, I think. I've talked about this in quite a lot of my videos already, but I'm going to repeat myself because it's my team selection and it's going into my decision making now. I don't necessarily think that Haaland away at Newcastle is the best captain for game week 12. I don't, right? I think away from home Newcastle can be poor, but at St James's Park, I think there's some kind of it's just a bit magic for them, isn't it? And they can genuinely beat and keep a clean sheet against anyone, can Newcastle at St James's Park. And I think they'll give Haaland a tough time. They're a big physical team. Botman, Teor, Joe Linton, Baltimore, Dan Burn. I think they could give Haaland a tough time in that game. So there is an opportunity, I think, to captain someone else. I'm looking at Chelsea away at Burnley. Cole Palmer could be back. Who else have we got? Liverpool at home to Nottingham Forest. I think if I were to have expected points totals in my head, Salah would be the top player for expected points in game week 12. He's rediscovered some sort of goal scoring form, and I think his fixture is way better than Haaland. You've got Crystal Palace away at Wolves, so you could captain Mateta. Obviously, you could still just captain Haaland against Newcastle. It would be the most wild decision ever. And then Villa away at Leeds, Arsenal, Tottenham, not so sure. And then Man United at Everton, not so sure there. So, few games I'd target a captain from. Probably maybe a Chelsea player, maybe a Liverpool player, maybe a Palace player. And of course, you could just go for Erling Haaland. But that's something I'm thinking about as well. I want to make sure that in FPL, I have the best captain in my team every game week. I've only got 2 transfers this week. If I roll it, it'll become 3. And then that just begs the question, do I need to change things around to have the best captain for game week 12? I got so excited about game week 12 captain, I knocked the cable for my camera there, so I might have wobbled a little bit. But yeah, all of those things playing on my mind at the moment. I'll move on now. Well, up front, we've got Haaland and Mateta, and I've got to be honest, there's no need to change any of these two around, is there? Haaland's got Liverpool at home. I know that's on paper a tough fixture, but at the same time, I'm not worried about captaining him against Liverpool. I think he could do well there. And Mateta's got Brighton at home as well. Just no need to make any transfers. So I'll be rolling my 2 free transfers and 0.4 million in the bank till next week, I think. But, there are definitely transfers I'm thinking about in the future. Players that are on somewhat borrowed time in my team and captaincy in game week 12 I'm thinking about as well. So just to round things off, scores on the doors with the team, 68.3 predicted points this team has with a 97% AI rating. I think the AI rating might go up or down depending on Njai's fitness, but it looks like it's just cramp. And then there's just a decision really on who I start out of Anderson and Senesi. You know what? The more I talk to you about it on this video, the more I think I should probably go for Senesi because I have Iliam and Njai who I want to score. And if that happens, I lose points for Anderson. So I think getting Senesi in just sort of cleans it up a little bit, doesn't it? An Iliam and Njai goal won't hurt me and an Anderson clean sheet won't hurt me because Iliam and Njai, you get what I mean? So yeah, that's probably the decision that I have to make and one that I might change. But other than that, this is my team. I think it's a fairly easy roll this week, but all those other things are going through my mind. All right, well, that is the end of the video and my team selection for game week 11. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like rating and let me know in the comments if you'd make any changes to the team. I'm recording this during a Champions League midweek and European football midweek, so obviously anything can happen with this team at that time. So if they do, I reserve the right to change things for the deadline. That's all I can really say. You got to play it by ear sometimes in FPL, particularly when European football is rocking. I can't believe I said rocking. You know what I mean? Like the video if you liked it. Let me know in the comments if there's any changes you make to the team. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Golden Goal channel. It should be just there, back there on your screen. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.